Hey guys, Emily Muccianti here, and I'm back with a video about reading intervention because we know we are up to our eyeballs deep in kids that need extra help, especially from dealing with the pandemic and the learning loss. And so today, what I want to talk to you about is three non-negotiable things that you need to really hang on to when developing and creating a quality, effective reading intervention program. And I know there's a bazillion things, but we're going to narrow it down to three super important ones. Before I get started, remember to like, subscribe, share this video with just one person who may need to hear it so that we can have this conversation. And stay tuned to the end because I have kind of an exciting little announcement that I want to share with you. All right, so let's get started. Three non-negotiable things that we as interventionists have to really be the gatekeeper on in order to protect our students. The first non-negotiable for your reading intervention is time. We have to have time, okay? And consistent time. And I mean daily intervention. So what that means is, I know we are in a sub shortage right now. I know there are times that you are getting called to cover classrooms, or your paras might be getting called to cover classrooms. We have to really have a heartfelt talk with our administrators about what that is doing to your intervention programs. We have to really hang on to as much of that consistent time as possible, because here's the situation. We've already got kids that are so far behind that they qualify for intervention, right? But then what we do is when those interventions have to shut down for the day because you are getting called out to cover a class or something else happens, those kids are missing out. And every time we miss out, we're taking them one step further backward. And we can't allow that to happen. So when those interventions are up and running, you know, you've got your screening at the beginning of the year, the screening at the middle of the year, and those weeks in between, you need to have consistent daily intervention. And yes, I mean daily, Monday through Friday, with a minimum of 30 minutes every day. 30 minutes is optimal to me. I think we can all squeeze 30 minutes. When we look at our day, there's kind of some little fluffy times here and there that we can really squeeze to get that 30 minutes of what I call bell to bell instruction, like explicit and direct. And we are really pushing to make sure that the pace is perky and that we are doing everything that we can for those kids. Okay, so the first non-negotiable, do whatever you can to hang on to the time that you are given. If you are an intervention that is only running a few days a week, I hate to say this, but you just can't be that effective. So let's really work on having some solid, consistent time where we have our students and it is dedicated and everybody knows how important that is. Okay, so that's the first non-negotiable thing. That's a hill you kind of want to get on. Hopefully you don't die on it, but I want you up there fighting that good fight. The second non-negotiable aspect of reading intervention is your students can never miss core instruction, period. We cannot pull kids that struggle out of core instruction to try to intervene as core instruction continues, put those kids back in core instruction and expect that what we did in intervention is going to catch them up. Won't happen. They will fall further and further behind. This is why I really advocate for a platooning or a deployment model where everybody in the grade level is going to some aspect of intervention or enrichment so that skills are being built. Our advanced kids are really getting some deep enrichment so that they can grow and we don't hold them back. And our kids that are struggling have that opportunity to catch up. But if the other kids are moving on ahead and that teacher is really hanging on to that core instruction time, we're not going to make any gains. All right. So this is a conversation that has to happen first with your administrator, because your administration has to be the heavy on this, quite honestly. And it needs to be known that when kids are pulled from classes for intervention, no core instruction takes place. And this is hard. This is super hard because our classroom teachers, they're trying to hang on to every minute they have. They're feeling the pressure as well. And I totally get it. Again, this is why a school-wide approach to intervention has to really happen to make sure that everybody is getting what they need for that minimum of those 30 minutes every single day. Our lowest kids cannot miss core instruction. They still need that grade level instruction. They need it, but we have to fill gaps during that intervention time. So again, climb up that hill, stand there strong and proud, and be the gatekeeper for that your kids are not going to miss core instruction, okay? The third important aspect of reading intervention that has to be a non-negotiable is that your instruction in intervention must be derived from data-driven decisions. We have to take data. We have to assess our kids. We have to know if our instruction is moving in the right direction. So we cannot rely on our gut. We cannot. Now, I know teachers do this, and in some cases you're right, but you have to have the data in order to back you up. Now, I'm going to give you an example. I use this one quite a bit, actually. Dear friend of mine, fabulous teacher. We were screening her class one year, and one of her kids this was first grade, one of her kids ended up being on the intervention list. And she said, oh, not that little boy. He is such a good student. He pays attention. He listens. He's doing everything he needs to do. And I said, okay, let's reassess him and make sure that there wasn't something weird that happened. Lo and behold, the kid comes out really low. Well, come to find out that well-behaved and great attention does not equate to mastery of understanding. And this little boy we were able to bring him into intervention, and he was like a little sponge. Because he was able to pay such good attention, he was such a good student, and he learned everything he needed to do. We filled those gaps very quickly. And within the year, he was out of intervention and on to his next grade level. I use this example to just show that sometimes the data tells us more than what our gut does, right? And if your gut is right, then the data will be exactly what you think it's going to be. And great, okay, that's great. But from a standpoint of making sure that our interventions are effective and that we're actually moving kids, because, our administrations and our school districts need to see that what we're doing is working. And we can't just rely on our gut for that. We have to quantify the data. And the data is there so that we know exactly what these kids need to work on. Okay. This is why I advocate for a really great universal screener, because it will give you so many data points that you can really begin intervention with that screener and with kind of a couple of little probes, mostly in the phonics area, to kind of guide your instruction. Okay. So those are the three non-negotiables. Yeah, there's a big intervention hill somewhere that you're going to want to climb up. And these are the conversations you have to have. Number one, you need time, consistent time, daily time. Number two, your kids can never miss core instruction. Number three, you have to have data-driven instruction for your students. Okay. Now, that being said, there's one other thing that I wanted to share with you. I told you if you stuck with me to the end, I wanted to share something that I'm really excited about. I get asked a lot if I consult or if I help other school districts, and the answer is yes, I do. And I'm really making that more of a formal offering now. And so I'm putting together a kind of a faction of what I do, and it's called Reading Lab SOS. It's a system of support as a reading lab. And we're looking at school-wide systems of support using a reading lab model. And if you would like to find more information or get on my list for future free webinars to kind of know what we're going to be doing with this, I invite you to visit readinglabsos.com. Or shoot me an email. My email is readingdiva06@gmail.com. And I would love to jump on a call with you. Let's talk about what your school is doing. I'm gathering information, and I would love to hear what's working well in your schools and what you're still struggling with, and seeing how I can develop some things to help. This is what I love. This is my passion. This is where my heart lies. And I hope that I can be of service to you and your students. So reach out as needed. I'm here for you. And that is all for today. Thanks, guys. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful week, and bye for now.